Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of PSTV. It's your commissions in the building. Say what's up, cool kid.
What's up?
And we are ready after a quick PTO week. We got our stuff together and ready to get started with some contender pretender guys after 2 big weeks of new, fresh fantasy football matchups. Um, Kokamish, can you get us started with your contender for the this point in the season?
So my contender for this point of the season, I have Travis. That's not a big time contender. I mean, obviously he's always going to be a contender, but this year, so far after these 2 weeks, I think he's a contender because right now he's 1-1. I don't think his record really shows um, how I believe that he still has the ability to win it this year. Um, and I mean, that's why I really believe, I mean, can take this year or week to week. He's going to be consistent. And I mean, I'm afraid of facing him every single time.
Fair enough. So on my end, I mean I had two teams I was interested in. I went with the Super Mario Brothers because I feel like the spirit of the contender is somebody who has a better shot than everybody's saying that they would. So I mean I think they need to be taken serious. I don't expect Goff to be this bad the whole season. It's not making sense to me. We'll see what the injuries are like with like Amon Ra. Um, I he's got a window right now with AJ Brown out for Devontae Smith, and JMO and McBride are killing it. So there's some players on this team that are surprising right now. And if that momentum keeps up, he could really make a push to cement himself in the playoff race. And then on the flip side, my pretender. Oh, go ahead. No, I think you got something for that.
Sorry, I was just like, I don't agree with that.
Ooh.
I think you're just trying to fire me up at this contender pick. Goff, yes, he's going to be consistent, but I think it's all going to come back to the running game. It's going to go to Jameer Gibbs. If Amon Ra's healthy, JMO, if Amon Ra's healthy and whatever tight end rut is happening comes, I mean, gets reversed. Because right now McBride is like like the tight end one so far after these 2 weeks. I don't see that consistently happening. Um, where the other tight ends aren't matching McBride's production.
Says the owner of the Detroit Lion running backs. I see what you're talking about.
Zero bias.
No correlation there, huh? All right, all right.
But Brian Thomas is still rookie. I mean, he's been fairly consistent for the Jags, but I, I, I see that consistency falling off, and Mixon cannot take all those carries. He's had 30. He just had the injury, and I'm sure they're going to be pulling back some of those carries on him because I mean they want him good for the rest of the season. So that's my reason for having the Plumbers themselves as pretenders. Don't get me wrong, they are surprising us. Their team is doing way better than expected, especially with that JMO pickup. Respect there, a little bit of credit. Using the Tony curse against them, but yeah, that's what I got to say there.
I do let stud receivers walk, don't I?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, speaking of letting a stud receiver go, Bad Wolf, pretender for me. Everybody knows he's perennially top of the power ranks. It's a really good
Mm-hmm.
team.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it has the same sting it's had before. Um, my concern is with, and we'll see if it doesn't bear out because right now he he just came off a dud, but he's had a good game. So I'm just all up and down with Josh Allen. And then I
Yeah.
think Stephon Diggs' usage is a little bit misleading. I think he's got some lucky touchdowns. If you get him every week, then yeah, you can win. If you don't, you're in for some low scoring games and you're not always going to face another team in the 80s. So I'm worried about Diggs. I'm worried about Moss. Otherwise, pleasantly surprised by some other guys. Chris Godwin and James Cook
Yeah,
came.
Sean.
I trained them up and then I sent them over there so that they could kill the game over there.
Hmm.
Um, but besides the players that I gifted him, he doesn't really have any good ones. So, so, next up we have Birds of War put out an AP poll. He does it every week, fantastically, might I add.
Hmm.
And this on screen, guys, is what he had. He, of course, put it in the chat already. Um, he's kind enough to even go through 10 to keep some of you included. However, we are not. So we're just going top six here. And one difference I want to highlight between the Birds of War, I was going to say Birds of Prey, Birds of War's ranks is that he has the Goat King in here and we have the Super Mario Bros. So we both talked a little bit about the Super Mario Bros. Can you start off with why you don't have the Goat King in there in your power ranks, which ours is
Yeah,
consensus. So
yeah. I was debating with having the Goat King in there, but it does come down to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Is he injured? Kyler Murray's been going off. Other than that, Kyler Murray's been going off, and I mean his players have been going off, but really can't really rely too much on Gesicki. You're limiting your upside with the Kansas City wide receivers. I mean, if one, I mean, they could both go off, but I mean, you're limiting your upside there. Um, I like your team, but really, it comes down to is Amon-Ra St. Brown healthy, and is really JMO going to be the leading wide receiver moving forward? So that's my issue with Goat's team. I'm back to back right there. I have Go and Super Mario Bros. Flipping for me.
they're back to back for me too. I
Yeah.
think I think it makes sense. Um, I It's a snapshot, right? So like where are we at right now? Like Gesicki's playing 50% of the snaps, but he got a lot of
Hmm.
targets last game. So I'm like, I don't know, can he do it? Worthy, I don't he's producing, but I don't think he's being utilized like a fantasy relevant player.
Yeah.
So those are my question marks. I just have two really strong ones there. That's the like unbiased holes in the starting lineup for me for power ranks, which we're
Hmm.
for power ranks, I'm more heavily weighting your starting lineup than your bench because again, it's what I think what stopping power you have right now. How strong are you
Hmm.
right now? Um, but and if it was including the bench, they'd flip. That'd be easy.
Hmm.
Um, but that's my concern right there. So if we get some more answers about those questions, and of course I'm on Ross health, that's the main thing, then I
Hmm.
could totally see that flipping. And otherwise, you guys see it on the board. No bias at 1 and 2 from us here, but otherwise,
Zero,
everything.
zero bias.
Otherwise, this is exactly what everybody thinks it is. I hope. And then matchups and pickups. Okay, so here we're gonna go matchup by matchup. Maybe highlight a few places that we're seeing some interesting players and some trends. So, first up, we've got Chili and Travis. So on this one, we're both going Travis. I'm not saying he's going to cover the spread. And the thing I think they're projecting Chili a little low. I can see I can see the concern with Barkley because New Orleans is beating the dust off of everybody right now. So
Came
you
out of
would
nowhere.
could be a early lead for New Orleans like they've been doing. Shout out to I think it's Clint Kubiak is over there. If not, you guys will figure it out. But the system looks good. If they get up early, we're going to think that the passing game for the Eagles is going to be more in
Be a
effect
bit
than
more
the
active.
than the
Yeah.
run game. So that's what I would see as the concern. But I think these receivers, Jefferson, Wilson, Olave, are basically being used like elite receivers still. They're just not producing like them yet because of, well, a couple different reasons. Olave game script, Wilson
Hmm.
volume. So what I would want to know is at what point does the levy break? Like if you're participating like a number one, eventually the targets are going to go your way because you're going to keep getting
Hmm.
open. I think those guys are all going to have bounce back games this week. So with that in mind, I think he'll make this a lot more respectable of a matchup. But I still like a lot of Trav's matchups too.
I mean, we both are aligned there with Travis winning it. I expect, or I'm projecting him to cover the 10-point differential. I mean, you kind of touched on it slightly with the matchup and how it's gonna go. I expect Jalen Hurts to be throwing a lot, so Barkley isn't going to be getting as many touches. I see that tandem of Jefferson, Garrett Wilson, and Olave not doing hot this week, just because I see Alvin Kamara going off. I see Wilson getting blocked by, I mean, one of the Gonzaleses or Gonzalez, or I mean that New England Patriots um,
Yes, corner. Yeah,
defensive backs or
yeah.
corners. I mean, they're gonna, I mean, cover them up. And I mean, Aaron Rodgers really hasn't been super consistent. And if Wilson's locked up, he'll maybe lean the Allen Lazard side. And then Jefferson health. I mean, he's probably going to go off against the Texans if he plays, and he's not going to be limited. But that's kind of where I have Travis taking that spread.
All right. And then next we've got my matchup against the Super Mario Bros. You have me covering the spread, which is crazy. I'm not giving anybody 13. Like these, it's just so
You
hard
don't
to
know, man.
predict.
You don't know.
Yeah. I mean, no, you don't. I
Hmm.
mean, the injuries are hurting me right now. I think I've got enough juice at the skill positions to be able to get out in front and stay ahead.
Hmm.
But I'm thinking this is going to be maybe within four. Like I think this is going to be a really close
Oh,
matchup
close.
because I'm worried about San Francisco for Kyron with the elite receivers gone. They're probably going to get focused on Stevenson against one of the best run defenses in the league. Like I've got some pretty scary matchups for my players. Now, I'm basically just relying on talent to outproduce their matchup, and it's not something I'm usually comfortable with. So
Hmm.
I could even see this being an upset, but I think I'm going to be buoyed enough by some of the other guys, like Adams against Carolina, Lamar against Dallas, that I think I'll get the
Hmm.
edge. But I'm not comfortable. I'll say that.
Okay. I mean, again, we're both aligned with with you taking it. Real reasons why I see you meeting that spread is just, I mean, your team is that talent, you can't argue with it. Adams against Carolina. Hill, yes, is he going to have a backup quarterback? But I mean, against Seattle, I'm seeing that as a shootout. A Ramondre. The Jets defense isn't as strong as, I mean, what we were used to last year. You can run on them. Kamara, like I said, is going off, and I think Lamar is going to need Andrews this week against the Cowboys if they're gonna want to win it. And I see that as a shootout. So that's where I see you covering that.
Right. And then we've both got GOAT upsetting Nish, who's currently the favorite we're recording this
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday. So if lineups have changed, that's why. Um, for the sake of time, we're just gonna go a little quicker on these. Where I have GOAT is I love the Kyler matchup. I like the one for Taylor. Those are like my two where I think he's gonna really
Mm-hmm.
excel. And for Nish, I mean the uncomfortable spot is Kelsey's utilization, and he's across the way from Rice, who I think is gonna be good. So I'm worried about that. I'm worried about Odunze's health.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in line with you there.
What about you for Jay Moley and Chubb? You've got Jay Moley winning that one.
Yeah, I've got Jay Moley winning that one just because, I mean, Little Chubb's team has been ass.
Fair. I mean,
To
enough
sum
said.
it up, don't get me wrong, Shaheed's been going off. Mike Evans has been consistent. Just where's McLaurin? Fergie, I not worth a first round pick.
I
Pickens,
I love the matchups Chubb has this week.
yeah.
The Bucks against the Broncos defense sucks. Shaheed against the Philly defense that everybody's shredding like Swiss cheese. That's where I'm going. But
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, I do like Jay Mullis' team. It's just unfortunate that he can't produce,
it's for sure a
especially
more
relying
talented team.
yeah, exactly.
Lastly, we have you. in Bad Wolf. We've got another heavyweight battle. No suspense here. We both have you winning. And it's good timing right now with, Chase coming back. Hall. I mean, your talent just stacks up a little bit taller than his does. And
Mhm.
then you've got some good matchups like your Lions against the Cardinals and you've got Bowers against the Panthers. Whereas on his side, like I highlighted in the pretender section, I've got some questions this week.
Mhm. And I mean, we're both lined there. I think my team has been consistent. A little shaky on Drake London, on maybe Jamar Chase hasn't been consistent there, but I mean, I'm hoping for aggression to the north, especially against the Washington Commanders. As for Bad Wolf, I mean, he always has that upside with Josh Allen, and now with James Cook can go for 4 touchdowns any week. So it's going to be a really good matchup. That's why I don't see me covering that spread,
Oh, right.
um, and it's going to be closer.
Me either. I think that one's another one.
Yeah.
Could Monday night could come down to.
Hmm.
All right. Well, that's been another episode of PSTV. This is your commissions. Any last words?
No, just like, subscribe, follow. Good to be
And
back after our PTO.
yeah, if we have another one next week, we don't know what to say, but catch you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.